Hello and welcome to another exciting episode following me, Almost Immortal, as I play all the mods 9 to the sky. As you can see, there's been a few changes. I've been working hard in between episodes, mostly just sieving away. But I did also end up getting an Igneous Extruder so that I could get Kivi, so that I could make my base look a little bit more appealing. I got some white concrete slabs by using the bulk blaster with water on some white concrete powder, which was easy enough to make. And I also, as I say, made this with the Kivi to make the border. I extended this because I was a little bit afraid of falling off, but also because there wasn't enough room for everything I wanted to do. I've been sieving away with sand and dust and gravel and even soul sand, and I've managed to fill up this entire chest with ores and other such goodies. And I've also got a few things like salt and cactuses when I've been doing sand, and I've got quite a bit of blaze powder, gunpowder and gas tiers as well. One other thing I decided to do was upgrade my dank. Now, I had two before, and I would like to upgrade the other one as well later on, but I've moved this one, let me show you, from, I think it was the original first version of the dank up to the one that requires blocks of redstone, and also now the one that requires blocks of gold. This wonderful little thing will hold 4,096 items per slot, which has been brilliant for sieving, because I can just shove everything in there as and when I need to. But I've also, as you can see, upgraded my hammer to a diamond one, the compressed hammer, and I've been using a diamond wand as well, which lasts a lot longer. I also got myself a paxel, which is just a axe, a pickaxe, and a shovel with some sticks, as you would build any other tool. And finally, I got myself some diamond armor, because, let's face it, we're going to want to go to the nether eventually and get ourselves some netherite, but we can't do that without some decent armor. So, moving swiftly on, I would like to look at the Getting Started 2 quests today. I haven't done any of the quests, although some of them may have ticked off while I've been doing things in the background. I know when I carried this on before, I just ended up clicking click to collect all rewards, and as you can see, a few of these have ticked off as well. I've not actively gone through and done any quests now, so let's jump into Getting Started 2, and hopefully we can work on getting some passive mobs, and then we can get things like leather, some easy wool, and possibly a better food source. I would also like to get mystical agriculture started as soon as possible. That's going to require some Inferium essence, which we might get just enough of by doing the first gateway pearl for the Emerald Grove. But we'll see where we get on. To start with, we're going to need one of these, a metallurgic infuser. And this is going to be used so that we can get things like the alloys, like this, and also the control circuit. So I'll make one of those, I'll get it set up, and I'll show you how it works. I've made the metallurgic infuser, and I've got that set up with the coal generator we made last time. I've popped some coal in there already and got some to the side just in case. And I've just used one of these basic universal cables to pass the power from there to there. The universal cable is quite easy to make, steel ingots and a little bit of redstone, and they're very easy to upgrade as well with just the alloys as you go along. So to use the metallurgic infuser, the first thing we're going to need is going to be one of each of these. One requires iron, and I believe the other one requires osmium. So pop some redstone in there, pop some iron in there, and it will just go ahead and make the alloy. After waiting patiently, I've now got a few of each of those. So the next thing is to make a wind generator. This is easy enough, we just need two of those. And there we are. And we'll just pop this over here. Oop. And then that'll just spin away with the wind. So next, it wants the superheating element. This is particularly good because it's going to make our lava production much faster, especially when we hook it up to a tank, a fluid tank, and we can automate the output of lava. I'll create one of those and I'll show you what I mean. So I've made 3 of these, even though we've only got 2 crucibles for now. But let me show you. So instead of using the torches, you can pop these under and they will create a sort of passive heat. And they go 60 times, as you see there, rate 60 times, whereas the torch was just 1. I have also created a fluid tank and some fluid pipes. And let me show you what you can do. And if we pop that there, and then boop, boop, and that fills that up. And then let me show you. You can see that's going up really fast. It can hold 32 buckets, but it's going up really fast, even though these are empty, because that's how fast these are filling up. And this has cobble constantly piped into it, keeping it nice and full. So we've got a sort of infinite lava supply now, and it's all passive. We can do a very similar thing to the lava by using a sink and having that input straight into the barrels, which fills up, converts to witch water, and then outputs into the fluid tank with witch water. I've already got that set up. It was very easy to do, and yeah, that just fills up really quick now. That's infinite lava and infinite witch water, both of them passive. Now, before we can do any of the really fun stuff, we're going to need to get some power going. I tend to use the power mods power options, which includes the reactor, and it has several different types of reactors. I'll show you here. They start off with starter, basic, hardened, blazing, niotic, spirited, and nitro. It's not actually that difficult to get all the way up to spirited when you've got mystical agriculture on your side. But before we can get any of these, we're going to need to get uraninite. And we're actually going to need some power before that so that we can make uraninite. So to start with, I think we will follow the recommended method under getting started to here for a thermo generator. We'll start with this. Maybe we'll get 2 or 3 so that we've got a little bit of power going. Before we can move on with the power for the thermo generator, I'm going to need quite a bit of redstone, which I don't currently have. I only have a little bit here, just over a stack and a half. So I'm going to sieve some dust. I'm going to get some more clay, and I'll move on to making the thermo generator. So while I've been sieving, I remembered something I read yesterday. I was browsing Reddit, as you do, and the All the Mods page came up, and somebody recommended a quick way of getting through sieving. It uses a click machine, which is very easy to get. Let me show you. You just need diorite, which we got from pebbles, a block of redstone, which we've got from sieving, and it needed a chorus flour. So all I did for chorus flour was sieve some crushed endstone, which is just endstone that you crush with a hammer, and you get endstone by putting glowstone dust in a lava barrel. We already have the lava set up. We had some glowstone dust from sieving, so I gave it a try, got a stack, and we ended up with a chorus flour. You then use an item collector. I've got the advanced one because I had the parts for it, and I will need an advanced one later anyway. And a chest. I had the resources, so I just upgraded that straight up to diamond. And what this does is this points straight down, and I've set it to 20 clicks. It doesn't require any power because it's powered by rainbow magic apparently. And it's set to right clicking. It points down, you pop that in, and it sieves it. This item collector picks up all the items and then pops them straight in this chest for ease. So all I do, I sit here and I right click on here. So easy. I wish I'd have known this before when I first played this, because I have spent hours sieving. But this just makes things so much easier. Okay, so I've managed to get 4 thermo generators. Here they are. And I've already upgraded them to the basic version. I had enough redstone and blaze powder to be able to make the dielectric paste. and also to make the dielectric casings. So I just figured, why not? Let's upgrade to the next bit. Before I can upgrade it again to hardened, I'm going to need energized steel. I've already got the things ready for that, but first of all, I want to show you how to set up the thermo generator. I've got a little cable here ready and waiting, and I'm just going to use the white concrete. Right, where were we? Pop them in there. Drop the lava in. And those are there. And then all we do, we should be able to just pop these here like this. And then I think you just need to pipe a bit of water in. So what I've done is I've made another sink just for this occasion. And I've got some fluid pipes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then one in there. I'll go grab a wrench. And then you pipe that in. And those are powering up. Look at that. Now, before I move on to actually powering things, I'd like to show you something that's a little bit further ahead on the quest chain than we are at the moment, but I've already done it because I had plenty of redstone. So if we take some redstone here, and there's a reason I wanted to keep the bedrock available, and then if we take the obsidian, pop one of these here in the middle, pop an obsidian on top, get rid of that, onto here, and then if we left click that, it smashes down and it turns this into Fluix dust. Now Fluix dust, we can create the flux networks. So if we get a flux plug, which is this thing here, we can put this on any power generating machine and it will pull the power from it, and then we use a flux point to be able to send the power onto another machine. I've now made one of the flux plugs and a flux point, and I'll show you how they work. So we'll need this here to get the power from these. The flux plug goes straight onto the top of these here. We don't have a network yet, but I've created something else. It's called a flux controller. So this, if I create a new network, there it is, Almost Immortals network, that's mine. Select that. That will send any power now to me, and I can set it here to power my hotbar, my main hand and offhand, and my armor and curios slots. And click enable wireless there. So wireless charging is effective. So what's going to happen is when I connect this to this network, that will now pull the power from there into here. But since I've not got anything currently that needs power there, you won't see it. So let's put one of these energizing rods. There you go. Look at how quick that's charging up. It's not charging it fully yet, but that just pulls the power from here, sends it to this, which sends it to me. It happens instantaneously, and it's brilliant. I would like to upgrade the thermo generators, but to do that, I need energized steel. So I've set something up here. The energizing rods that I had before, and the energizing orb, all I've done is I've set a little setup of cables to deliver power to each of these, and now I can show you how the flux point works, which is very simple. Exactly the same as the flux plug, except for it delivers power as opposed to takes it. And I've put gold and iron in here, and then I'm using item transporters. The item transporter is set for regulate mode, with 1 gold and 1 iron, which will turn it into energized steel. And then I've set this here to whitelist energized steel. Turn that on, and it goes. And that will make a lot of energized steel for however many iron and gold I've got. I've currently got some iron smelting, so I'll fill this up, and hopefully we'll earn enough for 4 1x blocks, which we can then use to make the seeds for mystical agriculture. And then we won't need this setup at all for those, and we can move on to the next ones. So one of the main reasons that I wanted to jump into getting the Flux Network's wireless power is because I wanted one of these, a building gadget. It's very easy to make, and if I pop this here now that I've got the network up and running, this will power up. It can take 500,000 FE, but once it's full, it'll last for ages. And with us having the network set up with our power, it should just keep on powering itself anyway. But the reason I wanted this is because before I carry on doing anything, and while our energized steel continues to be made, I would like to make some islands. These are going to be the starting areas that I'm going to be working on, and it means I can distribute all of the stuff that I've got on this little island into designated areas, which will organize things a little bit better, and it'll remove all the clutter from the middle here. So I'm going to get on that, get a little bit more iron in there, get the energized steel going up, and I'll get back to you. So I like to keep my islands roughly the same size. This one's going to be 33 by 29 back. This allows enough room to be able to distribute everything nice and evenly, as well as have a little bit of room in between. I'd also like to, in the future, not now, create some corner islands, which I'll put things like the storage for the AE2 network and like the bees. I might also put some crafting storage on there and spread things out a little bit so that it looks neater. Now that we have some islands, it would be nice to get some resource generation going and to also start a little farm. The problem I've had, though, as you can see over here, is that I didn't have enough dirt to finish everything. So before I carry on, I'd like to get some Igneous Extruders and some Xycraft Extractors going so that I can get things like dirt and endstone and a few other little bits and bobs. I'll grab all the resources needed to make those, and I'll show you how I do it. So I have a few items together in my inventory here, and I'll go over what items it is that I want to make. So from the extractor and extruder, there's a few blocks that we can get. There's Kivi, stone, blackstone, deepslate, and netherrack from the extruder that we can get now. And there's dirt and endstone from the extractor. The problem is, to get blackstone and deepslate with the extruder, we're going to need ice so that we can make blue ice and packed ice. To do this, I'm going to use an atomizer and a compactor. Let me show you. If I just pop these here, we're going to want to make, if we go into the recipe, we're going to want to make ice, which is this one here. Lock that. What we need, though, is water into here so that that can make this water here. And then here, that will transfer the water straight into here, which will convert, I think it's, 16 of them into ice. Perfect. So now we just wait until there's plenty of ice for us to be able to make the packed ice. And then I can start showing you how I set up the extruders and extractors. So I've laid out a nice little area where I'm going to put the extractors and extruders. Let me show you how these work. So I need obsidian for the Kivi. I need 2 magma blocks. One of them is for stone and the other one is for deepslate. One of them doesn't require anything, that's blackstone. And then finally, we've got netherrack underneath netherrack. We'll also be making dirt, which needs a piece of dirt next to water for one of the extractors. And we'll also make endstone, which will go somewhere over here. So let's just line these across, just like that. And then one side requires water. This one will be stone. This one also needs water. This one will be blackstone, which just needs blue ice. And then we've got deepslate, which requires packed ice. And then finally, we've got netherrack, which requires witch water. The other side, much easier, is just lava. Lava, 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 lava. And then one more lava. There we go. So that's Kivi being made, stone being made, blackstone, deepslate, and netherrack. What I like to do is just put an item pipe just here, and then disconnect them all. And then we've already got one draw for Kivi. Back on there. And then just open these. And there we go. We've got passive resources there. And then, just to make dirt, a drying basin here, which blocks off the lava from moving. And then we put an extractor against a piece of dirt that is next to some water, just like that. As you can see, it's flashing, turning into mud. And then we wait for the mud to turn into dirt. Brilliant. And all we do, pop one of these on here. Pop. Let's make them nice and uniform, eh? We'll pop that one here. And then, there you go. That's passive dirt. It's not very fast, but it does work. And then finally, just a purple block on the bottom, like so. So it's a piece of endstone here. And then you pop an extractor there. You pop a draw just on top. That's passive resource generation. The reason we want to do this is because we want the dirt. And the reason we want the dirt is because on getting started 2, we want to go this way to get the gateway of Emerald Grove. I'm going to just partition a little area off for where the passive mobs are going to go and where we can summon this little portal, the gate pearl. And I'll bring you back. Okay, so as you can see here, I've made a very nice area here for a farm to go. I've just used some black concrete stairs as the rim so that I can put some water in. And this is 11 by 11 because we're going to be using a Mystical Agriculture's hoe, the Supremium, or scythe, the Mystical Agriculture's Supremium scythe. And that will be able to collect an area of something like 15 by 15. So this should be big enough for us. And I've got this little area here to put in some passive mobs. But first we're going to need a gateway pearl of Emerald Grove. That's the one. It's just flowers surrounding an eye vendor. And I'll pop this over here and then I'll just lure them in. In fact, we might be able to pop it right in the middle here. What'll happen is a load of mobs will come and start trying to attack me, and I need to kill them off quickly, really. And then it'll give me a load of passive mobs. So I've already got armor. I've already got the diamond paxel, so this shouldn't be much of an issue. And there we go. Nicely done. Got a load of mobs. And because we did it in here, they're already in here. I don't have to keep pulling them in. I mean, there's a couple out there, but we can ignore them. Okay, so my bags are nice and clean now. All I need is this milk bucket. And then we'll take this to a barrel of water. Yep. Pop that in there, and that gives you a slime block, which gets us our first slime. Now we can move along with the quest a little bit, and this is where the covalence dust comes in. So next, I'd like to move on to a very quick section for Project E. So under Project E, what we need, first of all, is these different types of covalence dust. The first one is just charcoal and cobble. The second one is iron and redstone. And the third one is just a piece of coal and a diamond. Easy enough to make. And each of them come with an EMC cost. And you can just use them to basically generate EMC when you need to. Let me show you what you need EMC for. First of all, we need this, an alchemical chest, which will upgrade straight away to an energy condenser. And we'll also want an energy collector. Let me just grab a piece of glass. Right, so I have that. And there's the energy collector. Let me show you how this works. If we put down the energy condenser here, and then you pop to the side there, and then we put a piece of glowstone on top of it. We do that because this generates EMC passively through sunlight. And if you pop glowstone on top of it, it will generate EMC even if it's raining. This here will take EMC from here to make items. And the reason I wanted slime ball is because slime ball is worth 32 EMC each. If I put that in there, as you can see, that goes up and it increases the amount of slime balls we've got. If we pop in covalence dust like this, it takes the EMC, eats the items, and transfers it into that item. It's the same with things like cobble. The good thing about that is we can now use a cobble generator and just feed it straight in, and it will destroy the cobble and turn it into EMC. Brilliant. There are lots of items that use EMC, including different woods. There's different concretes, so I can duplicate the white concrete and the black concrete, and several other items. So this is really good for making sure that we don't run out of certain items. So before I move on to the very quick silent gear part, I just wanted to show you something I did. I've added some pipes here so that it feeds into these drawers. But I also made a moss block, just the one. It's very simple. It's 4 grass seeds, which I got from sieving dirt. And you pop them together and it makes a moss block. The reason we want moss, which can also use EMC, is because we need to sieve that to be able to get things like the archwood saplings, which is another thing we're going to want to do to move on with the quests over here. Which we'll need archwood saplings to be able to get our very first villagers. That's a bit away, not too far, but I figured I'd get the moss blocks duplicating now while we're doing other things in the background. There are 2 things I would like to get now from Silent Gear. The first is a amethyst tip, which is using this with the tip upgrade. And the second is this sword blueprint, because when we get it, it gives us a blaze rod, which we can use EMC to then duplicate. So I've already attached all of these that we need to get here. So first of all, we need template boards for the first one. We need a few of these, so I'll just make those. Then we need a random pickaxe template. This here. Then we need a pickaxe head, which I will make, I believe, using this, and we'll use diamond, which makes a diamond head. And then it's any Silent Gear pick, which I think you can do using just this and some sticks. There we go. Then we need blueprint paper. Okay, so I got a little bit of paper and some blue dye from lapis lazuli. And we'll make some of these blueprint papers. Brilliant, so we're here. And then we just need the blueprint paper with a stick to be able to make the sword. That will give us the blaze rod as a reward. Brilliant. But as I say, I'd also like the tip upgrade. And that's the upgrade. So the tip upgrade, if we put that there, and then we put some amethyst with it here, we get the amethyst tip. And if we put that here with a pickaxe, we can get the diamond pick with silk touch. How good is that? So now we've got very easy silk touch and we've got a blaze rod. Let me show you how easy it is to duplicate that. Just here. I've had the slime balls going and we've also already got a full 2000 of the moss. But if I take that away now and pop that there, that'll slowly start building up and go in, but we'll speed it up. We'll just put some covalence dust in there. There we go. And that's already 7 blaze rods. Brilliant. Moving swiftly on with the quests. I've just been looking at these here. This one I've ticked off, and it wants us to move on to a storage solution, which I would really like to do as soon as possible. But to do that, we need to move on to AE2, and I'm not quite ready for that just yet. The next step is to automate our sieving. I've already made the flux sieve and flux hammer. They're very easy to make, as you can see. And I got a cobble gen as a reward. I'll set these up in a minute to show you how they work, but I also would like to get the Demon's Dream seeds so we can move on. And to do that, I've got one of these. It's just a market. A market is super easy to make, and it's an awesome source of getting just basically anything you want to grow, as well as trees and flowers. So if you need dye, you can come and get black dye easy with the wither roses. So what we want from here is the Demon's Dream seeds. They should be... There we go. Just one of those. And that'll help us get into occultism. So I'll move over here where we've got power. So this is going to be a very, very quick introduction into this for the sieving. I'm going to take it off what we already have here. And I've upgraded one of the cobble gens to diamond. Pop this here. And then the flux hammer will take the cobble from this as such, and it will begin to smash it. We can then get the sieve just in front of that here. We'll just need to transfer power over. Oop. There it is. That's powering that. And then we just need a way for it to output. But before we do, I'm just going to pop a mesh. I've made a golden mesh. I didn't want to go any higher because diamond stops coal coming, and I do want quite a bit of coal because we've not got a lot right now. I've made a diamond barrel for it to go into, and that should sieve away, and the output gets put in there. Very easy. And the power we're generating should be more than enough for now to be able to accommodate this. If you put a series of these, like a hammer, a sieve, that will put it to sand, add another hammer, and you've got dust. So I'll leave this here doing its thing for now. And we've already done all the way up to here. I'm not going to bother doing the marine fisher just yet. I'll leave that for another time. I would like to get the archwood saplings and move on to conjuring an island so that we can get our very first villagers. But I think I'll save that for next time. This is a good place to leave it. We've done quite a lot. I think I'm quite happy where we're at. So this has been a super productive episode. We've got lots and lots of things going. There's passive resource generation. We've started Project E. We've even got things like blaze rods and slime balls. We've got passive mobs, and we've got an area ready for a future farm. There's even several islands over there where we can organize our things, which I think I'll do in between episodes. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I've enjoyed being here, and I hope to see you again in the future.